The Avs have had superstars all year long. Now they've got new goalies and new vibes, but what about the rest of the lineup? How can the Avs continue to improve, and what is going to change going forward now that the Avs have two guys in net they can trust? Let's start the show.
It is the DNVR Avalanche Pod and Show. Love having you along for this one. Presented by Bet365. With Bet365, it is never, ever ordinary. And what has become very ordinary is me not winning a bet. We'll talk about that more later because the return of AJ returns to the pod. Give him horns because we got AJ back. We got Aji back. Gizmo, Rudo, glad to have you guys along in this one. The Colorado Avalanche finish up a pretty impressive road trip, concluding at 4-1. They got back late last night into Denver. Rest day today. No practice, but some news that we'll get to in just a little bit as a teaser. They will be right back to action tomorrow at Ball Arena. Utah coming into town today, I believe. So they'll be rested, ready to go tomorrow for a quick homestand, but before we get into the crux of the show, this has been a brutal travel month for these guys. 19 of 22 days or something along those lines.
On the road.
On the road.
Yeah.
That's absurd, even by NHL standards. Now, that'll flip. Next month, they're basically here every game. But just the thoughts real quickly on how brutal the schedule is and how well that they have weathered it based on the fact that up until about 48 hours ago, I didn't have a goalie that could do a thing.
Even their home days on this last month or so have been
really.
Yeah, they were home for the game and then they're flying back out to continue their road trip essentially. So it is one of the worst schedules I've ever seen for the Colorado Avalanche. And look, the Avs live in Colorado. They usually have pretty bad travel because they just live so far from everyone. But this is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's not even like where they're going so much as how often they're going, because 10 of 12 games on the road, and they are home for 2 more games this week, and then next week they have another 3-game road trip, this time on the West Coast.
Yep.
So it has basically destroyed circadian rhythm, and there just isn't like you're basically on the road for an entire month, because as you mentioned, they came home, they played Vegas. They were there for a day, then they flew to Dallas. They played in Dallas, they flew home, they played in Edmonton, they got on a plane, and then they flew to Buffalo. And it was just like, or Philadelphia? I don't remember. They flew out
Buffalo,
east.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
And it was, Philadelphia was the trip before. And it's just been so much on the road that for them to be actually gaining a little bit of ground in the standings right now is
Impressive.
remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this little break at home is basically to check the mail, make sure your children still recognize you, kiss the wife, pay some bills, give her a hug, and then go right back to the airport.
It's that for the guys that at least have been on this team. You have 2 new goalies who probably haven't even moved their families to Colorado yet, given they haven't been here. But
That's a good point. That's a good point. Speaking of that, that's a nice time to segue to it. Listen, vibes are back with this hockey team. You could see it. I could feel it. Even just being around these guys, for the short time I have, you could tell there was something that wasn't right. It was obvious what wasn't right, but you could just feel that the vibes were wrong. I picked up on it in the locker room quite a bit. Obviously talking to some of the guys here and there. But with the addition of, it starts with Wedgwood. I mean, Wedgwood came in and immediately you could tell there was a different effervescence to the guys, the way that they played in front of him. He certainly gets all of the credit right now for that vibe change amongst the team. And then Blackwood, same personality, will come into the locker room. He'll be a welcome addition. He'll be an easygoing, lighthearted guy. That's going to sort of add to it as well. But just the fact that the trade happened, even though that Blackwood didn't join the team, the guys are hyped. And C-Mac alluded to it, that he owed it to the group to make a change. And he's also made a point of saying multiple times just how important, what Wedgwood brings to the locker room is and what Blackwood brings to the locker room is. So C-Mac, being the consummate professional he is, and I'm not going to put words into his mouth, but he's basically telling you, yeah, they weren't good on the ice and they certainly weren't good in the locker room. And as a result, we got to make a change. And the result is this, Colorado Avalanche hockey.
Yeah. To me, getting both of these new goaltenders was kind of the 1-2 reset punch for the Avalanche.
100%.
You look at Wedgwood, he comes in that Buffalo game. Essentially, the games that Wedgwood has played, the Avs in front of him are getting told, hey, forget everything. Forget all the idiosyncrasies you have with your other goalies that you're so used to him playing a certain way and you feel super tight about doing this, that, or the other thing to help your goalie. You don't know anything about me, so just go play hockey in front of me. Play the way you're capable. I'll worry about my own stuff. That's the physical side of the actual hockey getting played reset. And then the Blackwood trade is the mental reset where the Avs can take a breath and they don't have to look up. And look, nothing against Alexander Georgiev, the person, but it's just human nature that if you have one of the bottom goalies in the league, you see those statistics and you go, oh God, now we have to play super tight every single night. So they don't have that either on the mental side. And it showed. It showed in the game last night. You could see a team that was relaxed, knew they were a good hockey team, and frankly went out and dominated that Pittsburgh team.
And keep in mind, and then AJ chime in on this, but technically, not officially, but technically, Wedgwood has 2 shutouts on this road trip.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't give up any goals in the Buffalo game. It's true.
I mean, it doesn't count. I know it doesn't count, but technically, he didn't give up any goals in the Buffalo game. I mean, and the boys know that. The boys know that. You can play looser and more free. It's like, like the biggest thing, we weren't getting offense, and then we traded away Kovalenko. You weren't getting offense because the team was afraid to leave the zone. Because if they left the zone and an errant shot came in, there was a 80% chance it was going to go in. So you play tight. You shrink back on top of your goalie because you're like, he's not going to save the puck. What do we got to do? And now you get a guy that is confident back there. And the other big one that I saw too, and I think, and AJ, maybe you picked up on this yesterday. He gives up that weak 5-hole goal, and immediately went over to the D and was like, "That was on me, my bad. We'll be good from here." I saw him say it. Like I saw him say, "My bad." If that's the other guy, and I'm gonna stop saying the other guy's name. If that's the other guy, he's whapping Sam Malinsky on the pads and blaming. He was basically the old man yelling at rain and watering his sidewalk.
Yeah. You short-circuited my brain there, just remembering it. I like that you've decided to treat Alexander Georgiev like he's Voldemort.
Pod wide moratorium on that name, so go ahead and get it out of your mouth too.
You can. I just thought last night it was notable that every time there was a shot from the point, my whole body didn't just tense up. Like, am I about to be filled with the most demonstrable amount of rage?
From the point, you're being generous.
He's been like a bottom 5 goaltender in low danger shots over the last 2 years. I guess year and a quarter now. And so it was just like it was like every time there was a shot from the point, I was like, ugh! And you give up some of the other ones and it's fine. I don't even mind that the first goal that he gives up, because why is Cody Glass in there by himself?
Yeah.
Like, what in the world are you guys doing? And that is one where you can have the open conversation of, yeah, the goaltender expects better from himself, whereas I guess the previous guy was expecting better from those around him, and he wasn't. It had just turned into such a toxic situation, and it was. What it looks like now is they have a symbiotic relationship between defense and goaltender, and not a parasitic one.
Yep.
And that, I think, is just you could just tell how relaxed the team was even going from 3-0 to 3-2 last night, you could see the difference in how they were playing, where instead of being like, we have to sell out and not allow one more single shot, otherwise we are in a tie game, they just kept playing.
Yep.
Like Val Nichushkin's goal that made it 4-2 was just like the most casual, like, oh, well, I guess I'm by myself. Now I'm going to dust Marcus Pettersson and embarrass Tristan Jarry even further. Oh, hey, we've won the game again. No big deal, guys. We had this. It's fine.
How big is just the fact that you're going into games with these goaltenders and you're not saying, well, we're starting the game down 1-0 because
100%.
one of the first 4 shots is going in our net.
You're not scoring goals in those games because you're gripping your stick tight. You're freaking out. You're like, we got to score 4. We have to score at least 4 goals. That was their mentality going into every game under the previous administration. We have to score 4. We have to.
It's just so. I think last night's game was a perfect example of it. When you're up 3-0 and you have an egregious defensive breakdown or you don't get a save, that makes the game 3-1, and you don't really care. It's not that big a deal, as opposed to when you have that breakdown to make the game 2-0 against you, and now you're in a massive hole, and this game becomes incredibly difficult. The starts are just so important, and I don't mean starts as in a goalie starts the game. I mean the first period of the hockey game is so important in hockey that you need a goaltender that you can trust in that. More than to make every single save, you need a goaltender you can trust to start games correctly. And Wedgwood has done that. Even in his loss on this road trip, he made the first 12 saves of the game before it fell apart.
It's win the first faceoff, get the first hit, take the first shot, make the first save, obviously score the first goal. You execute on those things, that's what you're being told in the locker room by your coaches. That's just drilled into your head from the time you start skating, whether you're playing A hockey or AAA hockey, juniors, or the NHL. It's get the first right away. Open a game in the first 5 minutes and have all of those things come to fruition. And if that happens, good things go from there. You roll and the vibes are good and things are all right. What is the comparison here like, boys? And opinions from both of you on this between Blackwood and Kuemper. I mean, worked out pretty good when they had Kuemper here, and again, and I will say this, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the comparisons between the two are similar.
Yeah, I mean, Blackwood is not as good as Darcy Kuemper was when the Avs went out and got him. Kuemper had multiple years of established high-end starter goaltending that Blackwood does not have. So at least Darcy Kuemper's regular season, I do not expect play of that quality from Blackwood. It is a little bit interesting. I do think there is some risk here when the Avs, the 2 goalies they got and acquired, have a grand total of 0 playoff starts. So there is a little bit of a gap there. But you also look at Darcy Kuemper's playoff run with them, where he missed half of it with an eye injury and ultimately finished with a 906. Now, Kuemper was nails for them in that cup final where he essentially outdueled Andrei Vasilevsky at the end of it. But any goalie can play a handful of games pretty well if you catch him at the right time. The thing with Blackwood is we're going to see who he is in the Avalanche system. He's coming from a Shark system where he was getting lit up the same way Kuemper came from at the time Coyote system where he was facing 40 shots a night. If he can transition similar to the way Kuemper did, it should be more than good enough for this team.
Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, I mean, with Blackwood, he's 28 years old, newly 28 years old, and we're still talking about potential with him because it has not fully translated into full-time high-end starter quality of play at this point in his career. And so this is a leap of faith by the Avalanche, but that's also why the deal was as cheap as it was. And I know that there are people that think it was really expensive. I think it was a fair price.
Same.
The Avs are rolling the dice that he is better than a league average starter, but if they get a league average starter, it's
certainly
a palatable
still
price.
Way better than what they had.
Yeah, it's just not that big of a deal. But it's when you talk about Kuemper, a lot of it was, well, how's he going to handle the pressure? We forget because the eye injury really sabotaged his postseason run. But Darcy Kuemper was excellent for the Avalanche in his regular season. He was very, very good. And if they get anything close to what Kuemper gave them out of Mackenzie Blackwood this year, they are a cup favorite again. Just like pure and simple, they are a cup favorite again. And the rest of the West has a really big problem on their hands.
Keep in mind as well, these guys are hyped right now. They are hyped. If you're Blackwood and you're on San Jose, you are not sniffing the playoffs this year. If you're Wedgwood and you're on Nashville, that team is imploding. And you're like, what the am I doing? And now you're on a team and you're instantly a Stanley Cup contender. We'll talk more about it in just a moment.
We sure will. First, AJ, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Good. That's what Verizon brings to you. No matter where you are, what you're doing, whether it's a phone call or you're doing a stream or you're on the internet, you can connect with anyone, anywhere with the best 5G network in the country. And when you do switch over to Verizon, you also get a $200 Verizon e-gift card just for switching and signing up for one of their ultimate plans. So make sure you're getting in with Verizon today, whether you're streaming in traffic or you're just at home, as Giz likes to do, calling his mom. So
yeah, call your mom. Call her. Give her a call.
Make sure you're getting in with Verizon today. Of course, they have tons of great deals, including trading in your old phone for a new one on any of their plans, alongside that $200 gift card. Of course, to get the $200 gift card, it'll be sent within 8 weeks, and you have a minimum retail price of $799.99, as well as port in with new smartphone line on postpaid Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Ultimate plan required. You can also use Verizon Access to get access to great events, whether it be sports or your favorite musical artists, whatever it might be. Verizon has you covered. So get with them. Get that $200 gift card only at Verizon.
Yeah, and you know what else is accessible to all, just like Verizon?
What's that?
And we'll help you out doing just better things. It's Live Well, because Live Well helps you, do what the title says, live well. Because they strive to make cannabis accessible to all, because they believe everyone deserves to, what is it again? Live well. Yeah. 25 convenient Colorado dispensary locations with premium selection, expert service that awaits you. If you know what you're doing, you can get in and out of there real easily. If you don't know what you're doing, they'll take all the time in the world to explain it and make sure that you get the right product for you for what you need it for. Their staff is knowledgeable, and they are there to help you on that journey. All you got to do is visit a Live Well dispensary to learn more about their wide selection of cannabis. Visit livewell.com today to reserve your products online for a quick in-store pickup, or just stop by and, like I said, get all those answers that you're looking for. Make sure you mention code DNVR25 in store and receive 25% off one regular priced item. Restrictions do apply. They're hyped to be here. They're hyped to be here. And I think that is what you're seeing in a guy like Wedgie. In the first game, the comeback in Buffalo, he gets the hat, 4 lines. What did he say? 4 lines, 6D, 2 10Ds all year. Let's go. So I mean, right away, you're like, this guy's pumped to be here. He's pumped to be here. He's ready to go. You're in the mix for a Stanley Cup.
Giz, real quick, I want to make a point about Blackwood, because I think you were touching on it with his tenure in San Jose, and why it's going to be different in Colorado. Everybody that plays for the Sharks right now is kind of playing for themselves. They know that organizationally they're not, like, if they were to make the postseason, it's a miracle. They understand the score. Everybody, they're all going to say, hey, we're going to try and work to get better. There's a lot of pride in this room and blah, blah, blah. They're going to say all the right stuff. But in reality, Mackenzie Blackwood knew when they traded for Yaroslav Askarov over the summer and then signed him to a 2-year deal immediately, they knew that
he's going for a job somewhere else. Yeah,
exactly. And Mackenzie Blackwood was going to be spending this year trying to prove to the rest of the league that he could handle that job. And with Blackwood, he succeeded. He played. The relationship worked out perfectly. The Sharks got a return on an investment in Blackwood. Blackwood invested in himself, and now he gets to go and play for something bigger than himself. Now, how will he handle that? Because we very well know there are some guys out there who spend their entire careers playing for themselves, regardless of what they might say publicly. We know who those guys are. But with Blackwood, he's now in Colorado, and he's going to get a very different look. He's not the savior. He's not being asked to be incredible. They're not asking him to be Connor Hellebuck. They're just asking him, don't screw this up for us, and we will pay you. We will keep you. You will be the guy in our net. We are turning the keys over to this Avalanche kingdom in Colorado, like in the net, to you. We want you to be that guy. We have chosen you. Everybody wants to be chosen in life, right? And Blackwood is it. And that difference between playing for himself and playing for the other 22 guys in that room, I think, could have a transformative effect on him emotionally and mentally.
You're a wizard, Mackenzie.
Go get him. We're a lot of Harry Potter references here.
I know.
Yeah, that's very good. I picked up on it. Yeah, I agree with you. And listen, and I think it's a guy that wants to be here. I mean, you can breathe a little bit now, right? He can breathe a little bit. He can play freely. He can play for a team that's going to win could win the Stanley Cup. He knows that it's a good group in front of him. He knows he's coming into a fun locker room. He has played with Wedgwood before. They have been teammates, so they know each other, and that's huge. There's a friendship there between those two guys. That helps you out massively as well. The goalies need to be a good team. I think people often put them in a competition bubble, but I don't feel like that's the case with these two especially. It might have been the case with Georgiev and Annunen for sure. I don't think it's the case with these two because they're used to it and they know what the relationship is and they know their roles. I do, however, think that this will be goaltending by committee. My next thing I wanted to talk about, and gosh, we've been talking about goalies for a while. We got a lot of other stuff to touch on here, but
what happens when you trade for two guys?
Yeah, the starts are going to be interesting. I think Blackwood starts tomorrow. I mean, Wedgwood's hot, might be a little fatigued after the road trip and everything like that, but I don't really know. You guys would probably know Bednar better than me in this situation. Is he going to run the hot hand? I know that he would probably like to have, Blackwood around the team a little bit. He said that when they got Wedgwood. So my inclining is that he goes with Wedgwood tomorrow. I'm going that he starts Wedgwood tomorrow.
I agree. I would go. I would think that, especially given the way that they are playing, Blackwood getting the Nashville game makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But you could also, if Wedgwood goes to Bednar and is like, I want a shot at the Preds, great. But he was there he played 5 games for them. Like it shouldn't be like a real deep-seated ex-player thing here, right? But
yeah,
I do think it makes more sense. You just roll with Wedgwood tomorrow and then have Blackwood take the Preds game.
It's as much as anything else. If you push Blackwood to the Preds game, you get him a practice or two with this team.
You got to have him. Yeah, you need to. And Bednar said that when they got Wedgwood. He's like, I need him to be with the boys for just a minute. There is something to that. So yeah, I mean, I would start Wedgwood tomorrow, and I think that's probably what Bednar will do. Yeah,
that's my expectation. Also, if there's anything lingering from the cold or whatever Blackwood had when he came here, give him an extra day.
Sure.
Be fine and then be ready for Nashville.
Also, you're coming to altitude. It's a thing.
It does matter. Yeah.
It's a thing. Even though they're professional athletes, they feel it. You're coming to altitude. From sea level.
They're barely. We're talking about Blackwood playing at most one game before they go back out west for a while. So, they don't have like an actual homestand again until
January,
the end
basically.
the end of the year. So I think it should be Wedgwood. He's hot. He's in the zone. The team's vibing. Just let it ride for a game, and then let the new guy take the Nashville game.
I like Mike's take on that too. Let the fans give him a little. Let the fans give him a little love.
Yeah, you hadn't played in front of him yet.
Yeah, let him. Imagine they announce him as the starter, and people are going to lose their minds at Ball Arena tomorrow. Which I still say we should. Like, if anybody in marketing at KSE is listening, I mean, you should be going after Home Depot right now for the naming rights of the building. I mean, just go after it. Wedgwood, Blackwood, Mileswood. I mean, for gosh sakes, it's the Home Depot arena.
I'm trying to think of other lumber companies.
Yeah, sure. There's a tie-in in 6 minutes with Empire Today.
Yeah. Ev's got the good wood flooring.
This can also go multiple different. This ties in well with so many of our sponsors.
We do well with the sponsors on this one. Yeah, I mean, look, At the end of the day, the results will show one way or another. But I think it's pretty easy to see how reinvigorated both the fan base and the actual hockey team is with 2 new goalies. So,
what do you think?
Yeah.
We kind of bounced around it a little bit, AJ, but what do we think the splits will be with 2 goalies like this? Who, up until they got these 2 goalies, Bednar didn't have much faith in Annunen. That was clear. He clearly has faith in Wedgwood. We know he'll be good with Blackwood. So, like, what will he do with the splitting of the goaltending, and do you think it will be by committee?
I kind of have it. Just it's tough to tell because we have no idea how Blackwood's going to do. I mean, Blackwood could take the job and run with it, but right now Wedgwood's doing such a good job that I will pencil it in for like a 30-22 split down there.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
For the rest of the last 52 that they have. So that's kind of where I have them, with hopes that Blackwood outplays that and it gets more to like 35.
keep in mind, Blackwood had, I think, 19 starts with San Jose. So if he plays 30, that would put him at 49 on the season, which is pretty normal.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's moderately to even, not an even split, but I think Blackwood will get the majority of the games. But I think Bednar's gonna try to make sure he's keeping Wedgwood fresh, and I think that the playoff run we'll see what happens there. But
yeah,
I mean, in my opinion, this team without question makes playoffs now, barring anything ridiculously crazy from happening. But you know,
yeah, I mean, even with Georgiev and Annunen fumbling around in net, man, they were like at most like 3 points out of a playoff spot with the worst goaltending in the league.
Yep.
Oh,
like
buddy.
it's just at this point it shouldn't even be. They're fine. They're gonna be fine.
It was scary for a while there. Scary. Any last kind of, before we turn the page fully on the goalies, but any last just kind of overarching thoughts or feelings on the move? Did you guys feel when they moved to Annunen? I was like, I told my nephew, I'm like, they're moving Georgiev almost instantly. He's like, no way, because they just got, and I'm like, they're moving Georgiev instantly. This was part of the whole plan on the whiteboard.
Yeah, it was. No one was surprised, I think, when the Georgiev move happened. Certainly our podcast has been saying it since the start of the year, as we expected there to be a different guy in net. It ended up being both guys different. Not that the other one was all that surprising either, but Georgiev being gone, it being what it is, was always the game plan. And it certainly sounded like that in McFarland's interview the other day, where it was like, yeah, we've been looking into this for a little while.
It shook us to our core. Yeah. The way they started is the words. I was like,
So, yeah, none of this comes as a big surprise. We've talked about Blackwood as one of the potential options since the preseason, basically. So it all came together. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, because I do think we're going to talk about this, but something I think is going a little underrated in this trade is the Avs left themselves assets to make more moves down the line this season.
Yeah, it didn't really deplete them. Kovalenko, I think, is probably the bigger asset than the second round pick. But and that one stings. Like there's no, but he's not going to be I don't think he's going to be a top 6 guy in the NHL, which means that the value there is only so limited. So much of Kovalenko's value is that he's already in the NHL, and you're not waiting on him.
Correct.
More than even just like the upside of what he will be in the league someday. So for me, I'm just kind of like, it stings a little. It really stings that they weren't able to get a better piece than Giovanni Smith, because he's not
really a piece at all.
Right now he's a placeholder.
Yep.
Like, not trying to be disrespectful, but he shouldn't be on this team. He should be in the. He's not good enough.
Yep.
Yeah. And listen, my argument with the Kovalenko thing is that you've got a guy who's on your third line. He's got 8 points in 28 games. Goal scoring for this team was not the problem that needed addressed. It was keeping pucks out of your net. So you got to give up something like that to get what we just got. So be it. So be it. I'm surprised it wasn't. I'm surprised it wasn't more pricey because the whole league knew that they had Colorado over a barrel. They're like, yeah, you guys need a goalie like the desert needs rain. So yeah, this is what you're giving us.
I also am mildly surprised that the Sharks were comfortable doing this today. They could have just waited everybody out until they really got a Godfather offer, and maybe more teams wanted to get involved in it, but they didn't.
Yeah, because you know who else was circling? Later.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hold on, we'll get right back to that, AJ. I want to get to your point, but fire away there, buddy. I jumped the gun on it.
It's all good. Look, if there's ever been a time to chill, it's when the Avs have goalies. Mm-hmm. So kick back, relax, go get yourself a Coors Light and celebrate the new goalie tandem in Colorado. You can go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR, and you don't even have to leave your house to celebrate. Coors Light gets delivered right to your front door thanks to Instacart. Thanks to it Instacart? Yeah, I forget.
Sure, lots of things.
Doesn't matter who delivers it. Coors Light's still good. CoorsLight.com/DNVR again. Go get with them. I drink them all the time on the watch-alongs. If you want to have one with me while the Avs are playing, it's always a good time. You can also get them for whatever. You can't really be barbecuing these days. It's a little cold to barbecue, but maybe if you like sitting out there in the cold, you could do it. You can do it while you're watching football on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, Friday too, if you're into college football, I guess. Coors Light has you covered. Whatever sporting event, make sure you choose chill with Coors Light today. Of course, please drink responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
If you had the opportunity like the Colorado Avalanche, would you lay some new flooring?
Oh, every day.
Yeah, and
it would be hardwood too.
Would you put down some hardwood flooring?
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing the same thing at your home,
I miss Colfax, baby.
Yeah, somebody's having a bad day. Empire Today can help you to make sure that you have the best flooring, the highest quality materials, and the best service in the industry. With Empire Today, you get that shop at home convenience. You got to make sure that you always have the right product for whatever your needs are. And remember, they are quick and professional with their installation. Plus, they have a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, there's copycats out there, but they cannot beat Empire Today on quality, service, and speed. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need and not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. Personally, I am actually putting hardwood flooring in the place, and it's been awesome to have that virtual floor designer. You can just go online, you can upload your space, and you can see what that new flooring will look like in that space with your decor. It takes the guesswork out of it. Schedule a free home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off discount when they use promo code DNVR. Restrictions do apply. See EmpireToday.com/DNVR for details. There were so many people circling Blackwood and now circling Gibson. Edmonton needs a goalie. Carolina needs a goalie. I'm sure there were some disappointed ahs when the deal was made. And I wonder how it was made. Maybe one day we'll know.
I would say this. I do think the Avs learned a lesson from the Kuemper situation where they had to end up paying a pretty hefty price for a guy because he was the last dude on the market. They did not want to put themselves in that situation again. They went out and got the goalie deals done early on so they didn't end up in a bidding war with one of those other teams you mentioned.
Yeah, they jumped the market and got ahead of everybody on the line, and great. I mean, at this point, it's like, all right, we've spent so much time talking about Mackenzie Blackwood. And I just want to see the guy play. Let's start letting his play in Colorado do a lot of that talking, instead of being like the other guy was just too bad to keep around anymore.
How long did you hold your breath How long did you hold your breath last night when Wedgwood got clipped in the head moments into the hockey game?
I love Trent Miner, so not very long. I was kind of like, that sucks. I hope he's okay, but Let's go, Trent.
I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Nobody's that unlucky. Knock on wood.
I was honestly, we're talking about
bet.
Darcy Kuemper, man. I was honestly more worried that it was another stick in the eye other than Evgeny Malkin elbowing him in the head.
God.
When I saw that, I was kind of like, do I feel better or worse about this right now? 'Cause
the whole theme about today's show is where are the other areas and how does this team continue to improve? Perfection is never achieved. Power play bad, PK good, bad penalties bad. So let's just talk about that aspect of this group right now. I love Sam Malinsky's fight and I love his little fieriness last night, but not the right time to take a penalty like that.
It's a tough penalty, and it's a problem the Avs have quietly been dealing with all season. The goalie conversation has just kind of consumed everything else, so we haven't talked about it a ton. But the Avs discipline has been pretty darn bad this year. They have consistently found ways to take penalties in bad spots, penalties in bad ways. The number of offensive zone penalties from this team is spiraling out of control, quite frankly. And their new favorite thing is to take too many men penalties, of which they have 3 in the last 4 games. Look, they're a good enough team to overcome some of these things, but you have to rein it in at a certain point. And sure, whatever. If you want to let the Malinsky one go because, hey, he's standing up for a teammate, fine, whatever. You still can't have Giovanni Smith tripping a guy in the neutral zone when you have a 2-goal lead in the third period. You're making life easier for other teams to get back into a game that should have been over at that point. And the Avs were good enough on the penalty kill to close it out. Great. I love that. Their penalty kill finally seems like it's starting to click into place, and they're able to protect themselves on that. But you cannot keep putting yourself in penalty kill situations because you're not supposed to be perfect on the penalty kill. Teams are supposed to score on that thing, and they will eventually.
Yeah, and the Avs are actually 7th best in the NHL right now, with how many penalties they take.
Sure, but it's the situations they take them in. Yeah,
exactly. They're brutal. Brutal, man. I wrote about it the other day after they took the too many men penalty on a power play. What are you doing? Like, it was there were genuinely just some of the penalties you're like Giovanni Smith last night, just skating in the offensive zone, tripping a guy and carrying on him with his way. And I'm like, my man, like Ivan does the same thing, right? Yep. Like your fourth line takes 2 penalties last night. They play 6 minutes together and they take 2 penalties. I'm like, this is the wrong way to do it, guys. And like Sam Malinsky, buddy, I understand Michael Bunting sucks, but if you're going to take that penalty, just jack him right in the face.
Next time, get your money's worth.
It's still only 2 minutes, man. Just right in the face. Make him ugly. Like
he's got a punchable face. He really does.
That's because he's always using it to yap at somebody about something.
He does. He's got a really. I was fired up on him last night. I really wanted to punch him in the mouth too.
Kay, I don't know.
Mad when he scored.
Based on their too many men penalties, I'm not sure they can count Kay. So
it really some of those penalties. One of them I actually felt bad about because I was like, I think Nate McKinnon might have done somebody on the bench dirty because he was heading to the bench and the puck got near him and his brain turned off and he just went puck and he just changed direction and went after it. And I was just like, Nathan McKinnon's amazing, but it's got to be tough to play with that guy sometimes. But he just, there's a puck, I got to go get it now. And the defensive zone sequence where with Malinsky last night too, I had the same problem.
Yeah, those two are a nightmare on that play.
Oh my god, the puck got near him and Nathan McKinnon was like puck, and that was all he was interested in. And so anyway, penalties. I do think that the Avs are on they are on the right side of penalties drawn, penalties taken, but it's the ones that they are taking where you're just like, these are so bad. Yep. You're not like, oh, I held the guy, like the Sam Girard holding on Jesper Bratt on the breakaway. I still don't think was really a penalty, but at least situationally, you're like, this is the penalty you should be taking. Yes, take this. But the offensive zone penalties and the too many men penalties, please stop.
They do need to. The power play needs to get back to being good again. It's and power plays they're a roller coaster, right? They ebb and flow all season long. They go in spats, hot, cold. but definitely needs to be that's an area of concern. It looks very disjointed right now.
Yeah, they're operating at something like 15% over their last 50, which is not good enough, especially for the players on this team. They're better than that. They're capable of being better than that. It will get better than that, but at a certain point, I think what it comes down to, and you started to see it last night, I actually thought there were some power plays that were better. Your best players need to be your shooters. I love Artturi Lehkonen. Great hockey player. That guy should be the fifth option to shoot the puck when you have Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Val Nichushkin as options on your power play to shoot the puck. It should not be Artturi Lehkonen shooting. It just shouldn't be. He doesn't have the finishing ability like someone of a Ross Colton who was working in that bumper spot earlier in the year. Lehkonen is a guy you can put in the front of the net and do the hard work, but you have way too much finishing ability through the rest of that lineup to rely on Lehkonen to be the power play goal scorer. It just the optimization there needs to be adjusted a little bit. The bumper spot that was working so well early in the season is not working the way it was. It's a thing that teams adjust to, and once that film is out there, they'll start taking that away.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not worried about it, but you want to see the Avs get out of the lull a little bit.
Yeah, since November 5th, 23rd in the NHL in power play.
Yeah.
15th in PK. So special teams. It's not like you're looking at either unit going, wow, you guys are great.
Yeah.
Well, and they work on it every single practice, every single morning skate. They're running it at the very end. I mean, it's maybe get away from that for a minute. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely needs a little bit of a pump up, a little bit of an adjustment. They're certainly in that weird kind of lull, but opportunity against where's Utah and Nashville on special teams? Yeah, they're right in front of you,
AJ. Give me a sec.
Go ahead.
I'm hoping Nashville's PK is bad and that we can get the power play going tomorrow, but I didn't look at it in the last week or so I'm not quite sure where everybody's at in the league wise.
Just looking at power play right now, Nashville's 21st, Utah is 18th, and the PK, Utah is 20th, and I can't even find Nashville because I don't know how to read.
They're first.
Oh, that would be why. Yeah, they're first. 87%. What the 87?
Well, so that's
gotta go down. No, that's going down. Sorry. 4 power play goals coming this week, buddy.
they got that going for them, which is nice. Shoot. Other areas of improvement that we can talk about here over the next 18 minutes or so. Let's talk about where they're at. I mean, do we have Dr. Riviere graphic? The doctor. Bring up the. You have changed the title. Tiffany. It's so sweet.
What is this?
That is Dr. McDreamy in French.
Why is Sean Barron's on here? That's mean.
We have to talk about the whole thing.
I was on Puckpedia. And he was on there,
it is fine.
So I was like, you know what? Barron's can go.
We will put him there, AJ, and you will talk about him. But the injuries here, they play a factor in what we're about to talk about next. No idea on Shillington. We'll get an update on these more so when we can talk to Bednar tomorrow, hopefully. Who knows what's up with Wood? Manson has been skating and shooting. So that's good. We'll see how long that lasts. Not a clue what's going on with Wood or Shillington. Nope. We'll talk about Landeskog in a minute here. And Drew, and unfortunately, that's going to stay week to week. I don't quite know what's going on with that. But this list dictates our next sort of conversation, and that's in a few different areas. A lot of people asking about Middleton on the defensive side. He's there right now for the placeholder because you're down Manson and you're down Shillington, and Ludwig isn't necessarily the most viable of options at the moment. So once you get those guys healthy, your defense stabilizes. But is it another defenseman a move that C-Mac will make? I don't think so. I think they more go for and again, this will be dictated by Landeskog, which we'll talk about in a second, but I think they probably would be more suffice to go after a center.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about moves, we kind of have to live in a world where when Landeskog doesn't come back, I know we'll talk about him more later, but if Landeskog comes back, the Avs have to pull some cap magic to really make significant moves beyond him. If Landeskog does not come back, to be honest with you, I don't think any moves are coming soon, but I think the Avs probably go get a D and a forward of some kind this season, both. They'll improve from Middleton. Middleton's your 9th D, essentially. So even just getting a Manson healthy is an improvement on that. But I think you can yes, it is.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you can't still improve your defense. Look, Josh Manson was not good when he was healthy. He was having a pretty tough season. If you go out and get a 4th D, drop Manson to your 5th D, and then you have DeHaan and Malinsky kind of in that 6th spot, the Avs defense does get better. And on the forward side, it gets really interesting. And Chad had been talking about it. Do you just have to keep Ross Colton at wing now? Do you need to go out and get a 3C because Ross Colton has been too good at wing for you? It kind of feels like it at the moment. Will it feel like that in February or March? I'm not sure. But when it looks at the Avs forward depth, I do think you need a guy. One way or another. I do think you need to go out and get a guy, whether that's Landeskog or whoever on the trade market. But now, as opposed to a month ago or 2 months ago, I'm a lot more interested in a potential 3C than maybe a 3rd-line winger.
Agree. AJ, your thoughts?
Let's talk about Scott Laughton again, baby. Here we
go.
go.
God.
No, I think I think that you need to get rid of Josh Manson.
That's a way to free up cap for sure. And
I didn't know I was going to be on the show today, so this is just accidental research I did for it. But
you know why though, AJ? I got to cut you off for a second. You know why you're on the show today, buddy?
Because Eric's flying.
Well, yeah, but, I mean a little bit, yeah, but you're in the inner circle, buddy.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, see, but I tried to get you there. That's all right. Yeah, you're in the inner circle, buddy. And because you're in the inner circle, buddy, you're getting hooked up on snacks, on drinks, and on gasoline, because that's what Circle K does. They are proud to be along for the ride on our Buff Stampede. They're definitely helping me out. And if you sign up for Circle K, it's a free membership. It's easy to download. You just enter your email, phone number, and you're fully enrolled. After that, all you need is your phone number to get the deals. And there are deals daily on food, drinks, and more. They come right to your inbox, and you can see them in store. Sign up for Inner Circle with the Circle K app and receive 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You can find it in the app under Inner Circle. Download the Circle K app and sign up for Inner Circle for exclusive offers, new offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly.
Yeah, once you, well, I guess not once you get there, what you should take to get to the Circle K is a Toyota. The official vehicle of us here at DNVR. Go to your Front Range Toyota stores today and check them out. They have a vehicle for everybody, including 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles. It's great for here in Colorado. You had to go over the pass in the middle of the night the other day. Toyota all-wheel drive might have made that a little bit more comfortable for you.
Still got the white knuckles going, man. That is a harrowing journey over Berthoud Pass on the pitch of night.
And they're also the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. So make sure you're getting yourself in the Toyota. If you're carrying a bunch of wood in the back, a Toyota can take care of that for you, I guess. Go hit them up again. They are the official vehicle of us here at DNVR2. You can get them at your local Front Range Toyota dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood to get the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. It is Toyota.
Did we lose him?
Bye, AJ.
We did tell him that.
He'll come back. We got AJ back. I feel bad now that I cut him off.
It's okay. He's back, maybe.
There he is. Hi, AJ.
What's up?
What's up? I so rudely cut you off because of break timing, but please continue.
That's how much I like ad reads.
Yeah.
I sabotaged the internet for it. No, I think you look at what the Avs have done defensively this year, you have one really big problem, and it's that every pairing Josh Manson is a consistent part of is among their worst pairings.
Yep.
Not one single pairing that Josh Manson has played a real role in this year has an over 50% expected goals for percentage of 5v5. Like, all of them are getting caved in. The pairing next to Sam Girard has been horrible. And you take Sam Girard away from Josh Manson, and he's having the best season of his career. He's been exceptional offensively this season. For him, I guess I should use exceptional for guys like Cale Makar, but Sam Girard has been really good offensively this year. And his defense has not been as good as it has been in previous years, but his partner has totally betrayed all of the progress that he's made on that one side of the puck. And you look at the Sams right now, Sam Malinsky's doing a respectable job. It hasn't been very many games, so I'm not going to completely write it off. But right now, Sam Malinsky, I think it would be too rich to say he could be a second pairing defenseman in a postseason series. But you look at the third pairing, you look at your top pairing, Devon Taves, Cale Makar, they're just doing what they've always done. They're really, really good. Are they the absolute tip top pairing in the NHL anymore? Not quite. But oh no, you have the sixth best top pairing instead of the first best. Oh no. And you're not going to improve that by going out and getting anybody. There's nobody out there you're going to go get that's going to change that. So that's leave it alone. Your third pairing, Calvin DeHaan, Sam Malinsky, has been one of the most effective third pairings in the entire NHL. It has been very, very good. Outside of the weird freaks that they've got out in Carolina, just doing really bizarre statistical things. You look at that pairing and you're just like, this has been one of their most effective pairings all year. If they could get saves, the numbers wouldn't look the way that they do because their process has been excellent. It has been excellent together. What do you do in the middle? Sam Girard's playing great. Josh Manson's dragging everybody down. He's now become kind of an expensive Jack Johnson for you. That's not what you're after. He's supposed to be the big mean. He's your whiskey drinker, as Eric always likes to say. He's the guy that chews glass, right? He's the one that's miserable to play against. Okay, but he hasn't been miserable to play against. He's been easy to play against, especially in front of his own net. He takes bad penalties. He turns the puck over. All of the freewheeling and fun things that Josh Manson was doing, bringing to the club, are gone. They have not been there this season, and it's been a train wreck for him. Maybe the injury will give him a chance. He'll come back, and he'll be reset mentally, and he'll be, okay, great, awesome. That's the other aspect of it. He's always hurt. He nursed injury all year last year that he played through. He's constantly injured, and it just looks like the Avs continue to hang on to. But in 2022, he was so good for us. Great. We are now in the third season removed from that taking place. We need to be real about who he is today and who we think he's going to be at the end of this season. It's just, I think they just have to try and pull the plug, be real here, and try and find an answer for somebody that they can put next to Sam Girard on their second pairing. Because I look at the rest of the defense and say, it's fine. And whatever happens with Oliver Shillington, I don't even know. I don't even know where that's headed anymore. Is he ever going to come back?
I mean, I think I was always a little frustrated when they were flipping guys, and I've watched Calvin DeHaan play for many years now. We've been somehow by coincidence in the same cities at the same time in Carolina, and then when I was calling games for Chicago, Cal was there. He's good when he can be consistent. The up and down of the in and out of the lineup there for a short amount of time. It's like but now he's settled in. I mean, the guy's got 5 points. He's got 5 points in 5 games. I mean, come on. That's pretty good performance right now from him.
I think the important thing there is versatility, right?
Yes.
Because as AJ was stating, when Calvin DeHaan and Malinsky are together, they're a very good pairing, and Malinsky is going to do the heavy lifting on the
100%.
offensive side.
Yep.
He's strapped to Keaton Middleton right now, so if you want an offensive defenseman on that pairing, it's got to be DeHaan. That's just the reality of the ever-changing role of a third-pairing defenseman. And if you can show what Calvin DeHaan has and that you can adapt to whatever the situation is, it becomes really hard to take that guy out of the lineup.
Just as an example, last night's game, Calvin DeHaan alongside Keaton Middleton, shot attempts 9-3 for Pittsburgh. Calvin DeHaan alongside Sam Malinsky in that game, shot attempts 10-6 for the Avalanche.
Yep.
And that's not even, you can't even just look at it and say, well, that's one game, AJ. Yeah, it's one game and a whole slew of games in which Calvin DeHaan and Sam Malinsky have proven they play off of each other really well.
Yeah, it's a good pairing. And, Sam has become one of my favorite go-tos in the locker room. He's just an affable guy. He's fun to talk with. He's very insightful.
Nice.
So he's kind of been he's been one of my favorites to kind of to bug. And you could just tell he and Cal have a really cool vibe, and they got a really good Cal's got that veteran leadership that Sam's kind of bouncing off of too. Leadership and presence.
Well, and it's like it works, right? And with if they were to move out Manson and keep Shillington, because Shillington right before he got hurt was starting to
played
play
his best
really,
game of
really
the
well.
season before he got hurt.
He had a handful of games where you're like, oh, this is pretty good. Like that's the guy that the Avalanche were a lot more hopeful that they were going to get when they signed him. And I think keeping him around, if they wanted him as a rotational guy or as, whatever you're going to do, he'd started to show who he has been a lot of in his NHL career, which is a very good fit in Colorado. The problem is just trying to find somebody next to Sam Girard that fits, but can play Colorado Avalanche hockey. And Josh Manson on paper is it, but Josh Manson in reality has not been it. That pairing has been a struggle for over a year now. And I just think that because they've got the other pairings working, they don't know what else to do. So for me, when I'm looking at the roster and what needs to change, that's where I'm starting. And then obviously I'm looking at center depth. I'm always looking at center depth.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the elephant in the room that we'll touch on that we have avoided for a while because there just hasn't been much is Gabriel Landeskog. That has to be the next big thing on the to-do list of CMAC. I think that he is probably drawing off of his, mentor in Pierre Lacroix, and we all know of the wonderful Pierreisms. But the one that sticks out in my mind regarding this is the Pierreism that is yes or no. And I believe that we are to the point now where if CMAC has come out and said in the pressers that we had to make this goalie move for the group, we do have to make a decision on Gabriel Landeskog, good or bad. That still is respectful to Gabe, but at the end of the day, logo first. And that is another Pierreism. Landeskog did skate today at Family Sports. I have it on good authority that he has been skating consistently. But what do we do? What is the timeline? And I know I didn't leave us too much time on this, but let's just get you guys' thoughts on what happens with Gabriel Landeskog now that we are sort of approaching that January, February-ish timeline.
And the timeline has to be he has to try it before the trade deadline. That's ultimately what it is. If Gabe Landeskog cannot suit up in a game before the trade deadline, the Avs have to shut it down and they have to make the moves that make sense for their team, which is going to be going out and getting somebody else that can actually play hockey. I kind of said it on the other day's show. At this point, it's okay, but once you start pushing towards January, every day without news is a bad day. You need to start hearing about a timeline for him coming back and playing an NHL hockey game, or you have to start thinking about your other options.
I think they're in an even worse spot than that because we know that if he's going to even suit up for one game, they've got to do something cap-wise. They have salary cap gymnastics that they have to do in order to get him on the ice. And you don't want to give up a Ross Colton or a Jonathan Drouin or a Josh Manson just to try and get Gabe Landeskog onto the ice. And then he goes out and he plays 2 games for you and he says, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Great. Now you're out all of them.
Yes, this is precarious for sure.
You're in an even worse position than you were before. So I'm just not. Until there's any level of confidence that he's actually going to play, I don't even know how you plan for this anymore. And Gabe Landeskog's a great dude, and I know that he badly wants to make this work. But this continual holding hostage of the entire organization like this, it's just put everybody in the worst spot imaginable. And there's no good answer there. And I think the organization just kind of has to be like, look, you've either got it or you don't.
Yes or no.
I will say 2 things. One, the long-term injury to Miles Wood does make the cap gymnastics marginally easier in the immediate. And the solution there might be, if you aren't getting a 100% yes, I can go and I can play this entire season from Gabe Landeskog, you might need to take a look at each other and say, hey, if we're going to try this, let's wait till April 20th. And if you can go in the playoffs, great. We don't have to deal with the cap stuff at that point. If you can't go, if you play 2 games and you can't go in the playoffs, it doesn't screw us over. It might just be easier for Colorado to go about it that way.
You can do.
Yeah, we do have 3 super chats that we'll go through quickly here. $7 from Drew that says, Georgiev is to Gizmo what Tavares is to AJ. Love it. Take care, boys. Just call him the traitor.
Don't want to say their names. Yeah, don't want to say their names.
Those who shall not be mentioned.
27 Swede bucks from Flats that says, AJ on the pod equal take my money. And then
I mean, if it's going to be like that, can I just show up for 2 minutes and then get the super chat and then bounce?
Financially intelligent.
And then $5 from Miss Truly, who says we stand for AJ.
Listen, gang, tons and tons of fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the likes. AJ, it's always good seeing you, buddy. Please don't be a stranger.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. I know I won't be. Bruto and I will be back soon.
Love it. Love it. Love you both. Rudo, thanks much. Tiff, same. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in. Tomorrow it is game day. We'll have Hockey of the Rockies for you from Ball Arena. Guys, we'll have the pregame, watch along, a postgame. I'll have intermissions for you and all the stuff from the locker room during the game. So make sure you join us and follow along tomorrow. 2 games at home, tomorrow and Saturday. I don't know what to do with myself. I have to remember how to get down to Ball Arena. Thank you guys so much for being a part of us. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you got your alerts on, notifications. And if you aren't a diehard yet, make sure you do that as well. Call your mom and do something out there today to make somebody's life better. Appreciate you watching. See you tomorrow.
We all silly.